So if you know about TBC, then you already know gold is only a secondary currency. That's a bit of a stretch, but the main currency is primals, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about where you can get them, what professions can get them easier than others, the best farming locations, absolutely everything. Now, if you don't know about primals, there's 7 in total. So you've got primal mana, earth, air, fire, water, life, and shadow. Now, they all vary in price because some of them are a lot easier to obtain than others. Some of them you can fish, some of them you can mine, all of that. So all of these activities on how you get them will dictate the cost of them on the auction house, obviously. And some of them are obviously in greater need than others. So they're used for professions, so like tailoring, cloth cooldowns, crafted weapons, so all the crafted epics, actually, not just weapons, enchants. There's just so much that you need these primals for. So before we get too deep in, obviously feel free to join my Discord so you never miss when I post a video or when I'm live on Twitch. Obviously feel free to come follow me over on Twitch as well, ScottyJ87, and make sure you like and subscribe. Drop a comment below, let us know if you enjoyed this video. Let's talk about how you can obtain these primals. So actually what you're obtaining is motes. So you get motes, and 10 motes equals a primal. So a few ways outside of the obvious, which is killing. Obviously killing elemental mobs. So if you kill something that looks like it should drop a mote of life, it probably will. And then you get 10 motes of life, that equals 1 primal life. You go sell it on the auction house, make some money, or use it for your professions or whatever you need it for. Now, we're going to talk about where you get these, obviously, and my personal favourite farming locations. But first, other ways outside of the ordinary that you can get them. I think that's quite important to cover. So primal earth is from mining. It's not just mining. Obviously, you can get it from killing like rock elementals and stuff like that in Nagrand. Various other locations, obviously, but Nagrand's probably got the most of them. You can mine though. If you're a miner, you're running around mining, you'll get motes of earth. So for that reason, they're probably, no matter what server you're playing on, they'll probably be incredibly cheap. So it's not one that I personally would focus on farming, because if your miners who are out there, they're going to be rolling in primal earth. They'll have so many that they can't physically sell all of them to for a decent amount of gold. So you'll probably see them for 1-2 gold each. It's really not worth farming. You're better off investing your time farming the other primals, selling them, and then buy some earth if you need some earth. If you've got 375 fishing, you can fish out of pure water pools, which mainly in Nagrand. There is other places, but Nagrand's going to be the place you go. A couple of the locations we'll talk about in a second when we get actually into where you get your primal waters from. But yeah, you fish out of pure water pools and you get motes of water, quite a lot of them as well. So that's another way you can get them. And then in 2.1, the mote extractor for engineers was added. It was good even in 2.1, but in later patches like 2.3, you could start getting motes of air from the floating rocks, and they've got like cyclones on top. In Nagrand, you could start getting air from there, and then in Zangarmarsh, you could start getting water. It used to be life, but then it was changed to water. So all of a sudden, yeah, as engineering, you can just go around. If you're in mining engineering specifically, if you're mining engineering, you can run around mining, getting earth, getting your ore and everything. And then obviously you got your mote extractor as well. You can really start raking in some big money. But there are other motes that you can get. Obviously with the mote extractor, like you can get motes of mana from Neverstorm and motes of shadow from Shadow Moon Valley. But you're not really bothered about shadow. We'll get into why you're not, because they're not that expensive either. They're pretty much like a little bit more expensive than earth, I would say. Got a juicy little tip. If you're a druid, make sure you keep watching, because I've got a really good tip for when we see a Classic TBC launch. And if you're a druid, you're going to love it. But outside of the professions, let's talk about where you actually get these and my personal sort of favourite places and where I would go and where I will go when we see a Classic TBC and where I'll be farming. So first, let's start with primal manas. So motes of manas definitely in Neverstorm at Kiranvar village. There's tons of mana dropping mobs. They spawn so fast. I mean, it'd be seriously, it'd have to be really camped for you to struggle getting mob tags here, basically. It is a quest hub though. So, it's a very good quest hub as well. So you'll probably end up going here naturally just as part of your questing, to 70 or maybe at 70 when you're trying to make some gold. But this is a really good place to get manas, because as I say, it's just rife with mobs. They're fast respawning. It's a big area, quite densely populated. So I wouldn't even worry about going anywhere else other than here if you want your primal manas. Now, air is going to be farmed to death, because air is needed for some of the best enchants. There's so much you need for primal air. I'm going to get into a bit more of a primal breakdown and the usefulness for certain professions, which I'm planning to actually do live on Twitch. So we've started doing interactive videos over on Twitch, where the first one's been released. Feel free to check it out. We ranked all of the classes. I'll put a link in the description and put a little pop-up up the top for you. So air, though, the place to go for air is definitely the Elemental Plateau. So the Elemental Plateau sits above the Throne of Elements in Nagrand. The reason I don't like mentioning this place is because it is going to be heavily farmed. You're probably going to struggle solo. Really, you want to go at least 2 of you, 2 or 3 of you, so you're guaranteeing to get tags spread around. You know, you can get air. So this is for air, but you can also get fire up here. It's a great place for getting motes of fire. You can get earth as well. There's earth elementals, but you're probably not going to want to waste your time going like that far out of the way, away from the fire elementals and the air elementals, when that's what you're sort of really there for. I'll also just briefly touch on water, but we will do water separately. But you can also get water up here, which is just on the same platform, just a little bit further around. There's water elementals, and you get the pure pools of water spawn up here as well. So if you're fishing, you can even sort of maximise the amount of motes you get by also fishing up there. So Elemental Plateau is really good. Now there is another place, well, Nagrand mainly is where I would be farming primal water. So if you actually go down from the Elemental Plateau, you'll see just a massive pool of water near the Throne of Elements. You've got loads of them swimming around down the bottom there that you can kill. This is not a bad place. It's not where I personally would spend my time. I would actually spend my time a little bit further up, so near Sunspring Post. So the lake around Sunspring Post is actually a really good place, and this is probably, personally, that's where I would definitely go. You don't really see that many people there. You do get all of the pools of pure water as well. So obviously, if you're fishing, you're getting even more bang for your buck because you've got all these mobs you can run around and kill, and you're fishing. Personally, that's where I would go. Now, I said I was going to give you a tip if you was a druid to keep watching. Elemental Plateau requires flying. So if you haven't got flying, you can't go up there, you can't farm. If you're ahead of the pack, and I would recommend this, and I may even do it myself, 68 as a druid, you get flying. So you can go up there potentially. There might be a couple of druids who think the same thing, but if you're ahead of the pack, or you're leading with the rest of the pack at, say, 68, so there's 20, 30 people on your server that's 68, but there's not many druids, you can literally just go up there and you've got 2 levels of just farming them to death, maybe potentially on your own, on all the airs, the fires. Yeah, you're going to level slower, because you're going to be grinding. Everyone else is going to hit 70 before you, but then that's when you can move on. Once 70s start going up, they're trying to farm because they've just dinged, they've got flying, they think they're going to have the run of the place. You might want to move on, so you ding a little bit later, but man, can you make a serious amount of gold just grinding there for 2 whole levels. Just a tip. That's personally what I would do, and I don't think there's going to be that many people that think of doing it. Hopefully no one on your server at least. Then for Primal Earth, like I said, I wouldn't even waste my time. Don't even waste your time farming earths. Go and farm something else and then just buy the earths. But if you're adamant that you want to farm them yourself, you don't want to buy them, then this spot is probably where I would go. So in Nagrand, still, yes, you'll notice a trend. Lots of elementals in Nagrand. So it's in the valley in between the Ring of Trials and Tellar. I mean, you can see there's plenty of earth elementals here, but you're probably going to be wasting your time. As I say, if you want to, feel free, but I wouldn't recommend farming at Primal Earths because all the miners will be getting it anyway. They'll be on the auction house. Just go and buy them. So just going a step back to air, because obviously we covered the Elemental Plateau, which has got air, water, and fire. But where can you go outside of here? There is actually a couple of places in Shadowmoon Valley. There's two primary locations I would use. So the first one's just south of Black Temple, so you can see it just over these fields. They're quite spread around, but they're not. There's plenty there. Now, some of these are involved in a quest, which is actually part of Cypher of Damnation, which everybody will be doing because it's for your Tier 5 attunement. But this is my primary location because generally I don't find it overly contested. But if it is, for some reason, there is another good place to go. So it's north of the Black Temple. Neither of these locations are as good as the Plateau, if I'm honest, but I would say less contested. So as you can see, there's plenty of mobs around here that you can get. Most of them are actually dead at the point of filming this because, these spots outside the Elemental Plateau are very good. A lot of people will be farming here. Let's just open your server. You're alone. So as I say, we've covered air completely now. We've covered air in the Plateau and where you can get it in Shadowmoon Valley. We covered water where you can get it in Nagrand, but there is one other place you can get it in Terrakar, which is in Sketis. I appreciate it seems a little bit backwards and forwards, but obviously the Plateau covers quite a wide amount of these primals that you're going to get. So, but Sketis is another good place. Not my personal recommendation. It's not really where I would go. There quite a lot of them are underwater. So if you're a druid, it could be pretty good. But I personally wouldn't rate this one. But you know, if you've tried the Elemental Plateau and you've tried the Sunspring Post Lake, then this might just be your last option, just to have some uncontested fights, because I think it will be mostly uncontested, because I can't see that many people going here personally. But I could be proved wrong. Now for Primal Life, there's really only one good place that I've ever found. Feel free to mention in the comments if you know really good places for life, but I think the best place really is in the Dead Mire in Zangarmarsh. So there's lots of mobs there. If you're a mage, you can do some AoE, or if you're a prop paladin, you know, they're quite close together, so you can kill packs at a time. Obviously, because it's Zangarmarsh, they're fairly low level as well if you're going back and farming this at 70. The only thing is there is a quest chain, you know, so people will be questing here at the very least, but then you probably will get other people trying to farm life here as well. As I say, it's the place that I would definitely go, because it's got high mob density. There's just a ton of mobs. Now I was going to leave fire just at Elemental Plateau, because it's the best place to go. You know, there's not really any that I consider that great, and the main reason why is I'll show you this one. So around the Hand of Goldam in Shadowmoon Valley, you can get fires. There's lots of fires, but there's also quite a lot of earths, and this is also part of the Cipher of Damnation quest chain. So you're going to have a lot of people here doing their tier 5 quest. You know, you definitely want to be able to fly, so you can just fly from fire mob to fire mob and just not even bother with the earth ones, because like we've said, earth's pointless. Ultimately, if you can control the fire elementals at the Elemental Plateau, you want to do that. But if for some reason you're struggling there on your server, I just wanted to throw in another place you can farm fire, which, yeah, as I say, is around the Hand of Gul'dan. You'll be fine here, but just don't expect really quick results, because I again, this is personal experience. I've never really had a great time here. I've got some primals, yeah, don't get me wrong, but as I say, the sheer amount of people doing tier 5 attunements and stuff like that seems to just sort of ruin it a little bit. But you know, later on in the expansion, this could probably be the place to go. And then a bit like Earth, Shadow generally not that expensive, and I think it's because there's so many mobs that you kill everywhere, really, from 60 to 70 and then at 70 in dungeons and stuff, that drop motes of Shadow, that they're just never going to be a top tier primal. I mean, you know, you might sell them for 8-9 gold, something like that, I would say, but you know, fires, airs, you'll be selling for 30 plus all the time. So I wouldn't really go out of your way to get these, but if you did want to farm them, I mean, this is probably the best place. They're just easy mobs, you know. It's in Hellfire, as you can see. There's plenty of them to kill, loads of mobs to kill. They'll die really quickly. I mean, you have got Oshugun in Nagrand, and you can run around there and kill the Void Walkers, but in my experience, the drop chance didn't seem massively different. I would probably say the Void Walkers in Nagrand dropped a little bit more often, but just a little bit more often, but for something that's a little bit more effort to kill. So it really depends what you want to do. And the ones in Nagrand will probably be more contested than ones in Hellfire. So I would just go with the ones in Hellfire personally. But I mean, that, to be fair, that about wraps it up. You know, that's where you can get all the primals. You know, Elemental Plateau, if you can dominate that place, you know, if there's a few of you, or you and a friend, you know, and you can get plenty of tags, that's definitely going to be the best place to go. You're definitely going to see a lot of PvP up there if you're on a PvP server, because people will be fighting to control that area. Mark my words. But primals are going to be the new currency of classic World of Warcraft. As I said at the start, if you've stayed all the way, thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Come over and check me out on Twitch. Take care.